All right, we'll call this meeting to order, 10 a.m., Thursday, July 18th, 2024. We're here for an update with District Ranger Holly Hampton, U.S. Forest Service. So we've been talking about getting together more often and getting coordinated on what's going on with you guys and with us. So here we are at our first monthly. I don't know if this is something you want to try every other month, every month. What?
I think for the first few, given the season, if we can make it, I think it would be good to do it every month.
Okay.
I would agree.
And then if we kind of have a little lull in the winter months, then we could pitch it to every other month.
Okay. I think that
At least
would
have
be
it on the
great.
calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
So if you would coordinate before you go there, and let's make sure we have the next one on the month for August.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So that it happens while we have everybody in the right place. Well, why don't you start us off? What's going on in the Forest Service?
Yeah, so I have a couple things, and I'll make sure I leave you guys room to give you an update on and a discussion point around some grant opportunities, actually for the county. It's something that's certainly on our radar and wanted to make sure it was on your guys' radar. So if it's not, please ask lots of questions of myself and Jason. Jason is the resident expert in this particular grant opportunity. But if it is something you're already well aware of, you're like, well, you know this stuff, feel free to tell me to take a breath too. So Community Wildland Defense Grant, is that something you guys have been privy to in the past?
It's not familiar to me.
Not familiar. We do
Okay.
have a fire mitigation
Yeah.
person here.
Bill.
Bill.
Yeah. Okay. So there is, and I'll let Jason hit on some of the specifics, but big picture, and it ties in well because we've been talking about this I-90 East project, right? And the importance of it working, not only treating Forest Service lands, but working across all the lands, private, the BLM industry that's kind of within this. And I know Bill has been really promoting other work on private lands as he can with some funds that he's had available. So this grant it's a 5-year pot of money. We're already in year 3, coming into year 3, I should say. So we don't know when that call letter is coming yet, but Jason, his guy is telling him it's going to be August. So, but it's an opportunity to ask for funds, and it is to do wildland fire mitigation on private lands. A lot of the focus is around some of these smaller communities where, maybe we don't have all the money always in the world to put towards those programs. There are some things, and this is where Jason can help us out, it can be used on and can't be used on. Like, for example, I don't think you could hire like a fire crew with it, correct?
It can't be used for fire suppression or capital improvements. So, for example, you can't upgrade a hydrant system. You can buy chainsaws, but they have to be used with the intent for doing fuels mitigation work. You can buy masticators with that money, but again, it has to be used for fire mitigation work, so fuels treatments, things like that.
And you could, you can't hire a crew, but you could maybe employ, say, like a project manager to implement the funds, correct?
Correct. So it's wide ranging, as Holly was saying. So it's offering of 5 years of notice of funding opportunities. There was $1 billion put into the project as part of bipartisan infrastructure law. The first 2 years have been allocated $250 million across the country. It's aimed at helping communities in the wildland urban interface do mitigation work and do planning for wildfire protection. The big thing that it's looking for is there's really 3 criteria for communities that they're looking for. Communities that have a high or very high wildfire risk, communities that are low income, and then also communities that are, what's the third one? It's escaping me. Let me take a quick peek here. And then also have been impacted by a severe disaster that affects risk of wildfire. And so it's a great opportunity, and you can ask for up to $10 million. It is a reimbursement program, though. So you have to front the money and then you get reimbursed on the backside.
So why we bring it, so you guys meet all three of those criteria, Shoshone County.
Yeah.
Obviously, like
Yep.
we've talked about some of those things, but we're sitting kind of right in the middle of it. So it would put it on your radar, anticipate the application process coming quickly.
Okay.
The other piece to it is to have the community wildland fire protection plan in place.
Okay.
And I'm not super skookum on your plan, but it's my understanding it's kind of, no, it's okay, near completion, but isn't completed and waiting some of those critical signatures. So that might be a place where if you guys had any toe with the folks working on that plan, we'd want that in place before getting into the grant process.
I think we can, is it Dan and
Bill.
Bill?
Yes.
I
Correct.
believe that the grant Bill has brought up, has already brought up the grant. We can purchase like, equipment
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
for fire suppression, like the mowers that mow down.
Yep.
all the-
All the mastication
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you apply, though, the primary use for that equipment the use for that equipment is doing mitigation work, just for.
Now, that would be with roads too. I mean, isn't that mitigation when we're going around mowing all the fuels off the road so that the public
If you're
doesn't
doing like
get
fuel
this?
break work, yes, yeah,
Exactly.
yep.
Yeah, all of those things. And, just some examples. There's an example from this past year that's very similar to Shoshone County. Are you folks familiar with Ferry County in Washington State at all, Northeast?
No.
It's a county that is very similar in demographics, ownership, tax base to Shoshone County. Those folks were able to secure a full $10 million ask, and they are going to treat all private and county-owned lands across. Their goal is to treat private and county-owned lands across the entire county. They have an education component. They have a network building component built into their application. But when I saw that they were awarded, just the striking similarities from my past experience with them in Shoshone County, it was really encouraging to see.
About how many acres do you have any?
I can get the application. I know folks have proposed, because if you are successful in an application, you then enter into a 5-year agreement with the USDA, and that's through our folks, excuse me, that's through our staff in Missoula with the Forest Service. And so, say you put in for $5 million, and this is just all hypothetical, not recommending anything, but say you put in for $5 million, you have 5 years from the time that you enter into that agreement with the USDA to expend those funds.
Okay.
And so, if I remember correctly, I know I have seen one. There's a larger county called Kittitas County where Ellensburg, Washington sits, and Cle Elum. They got one of the first $10 million asks in the country in year 1, and I believe they are planning to treat 7,200 acres by the time it's all said and done, while also standing up and bolstering their educational components in their community organizations.
What can you elaborate on the education standard? What part is that?
Yeah, and it's not required as part of it, but I think it would be a very good stroke of business for this county. So there's a couple of entities around. There's Idaho Firewise, which Firewise is a national recognition program. It's aimed at having smaller communities organize, develop their own, neighborhood or HOA-wide action plan where, hey, this year we're going to make sure that that every homeowner takes a little bit of ownership and prunes up and removes trees for the first 100 feet around their home. So they developed this action plan. It's all based around getting folks organized, doing this mitigation work. It could also be evacuation planning within their own community and working with county officials and other, whatever government officials are in that area providing fire suppression for them. So that's one aspect. Idaho does have its own local state affiliate of that. It's called Idaho Firewise, and they're based in Moscow. There's another number of other national programs like the Wildfire Community Adapted Learning Network, which is a learning network set up where communities that have engaged in mitigation projects or mitigation planning get together, have a meeting, usually quarterly, where they share information and share their projects and how they've done, what they've done, how they've done it, where they were able to find funding, how they organize themselves to try to teach other communities. Those are some really powerful things around the nation and organizations that have been good. But that can be just one component of an application.
So they come here and they set up.
Usually it's like a virtual meeting.
Okay.
Idaho Firewise would probably come and meet if there was communities. They would probably meet, but usually it'd be like a virtual meeting or phone calls and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and there's been projects that have been applied for that run the gamut, from $10 million being the grand application and vision to even HOAs and counties applying for all the way down to say $500,000 to target one specific community or neighborhood that they're concerned about being impacted by wildfire.
It is something we would recommend as you consider if you want to do an application, biting off what you think you would be able to fully implement in that window. Knowing that there are future funding opportunities coming ahead too, that this could also set you up for. I don't know if anybody's reached out to you yet, but Shoshone County is also next on the list for Joint Chiefs project proposal area, which again, big picture is largely tied to working across boundaries, right? Whether it's fire suppression, mitigation, etc., nothing stops at that line. So we have one right now going on Kootenai County, and then we've asked to be moved this way. So again, it's kind of right here in the heart of where we had these 1910 fires, Shoshone County. It's within the next project planning area. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity coming our way, but this would be a good way to kind of start setting the stage and getting some of that work going and building on what I know Bill is already doing within the community. And will set us up well, I think. So.
Okay, now the Joint Chiefs, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, and I'll bring Jeff sometime. He's our Joint Chiefs expert, but so largely we'll have basically a boundary that we apply for, and that would be like our Joint Chiefs area. And we can all apply, and so it's not just like a Forest Service thing, apply for monies to do fuels mitigation work in those areas. And then it's allowing for some of that work across boundaries. So largely, actually, a lot of the funds, kind of like this, the funds will go to county, private, state, and then the Forest Service can apply as well to do fuels mitigation work. So right now, for example, we just got additional funding and we're doing a lot of work along like the Highway 95 corridor across all the lands. They're doing stuff right there in Kootenai County, right within the city limits, kind of up in that Canfield area.
Oh, okay.
So, and then up through like Farragut State Park. I don't know if it falls within Joint Chiefs, but it's something similar. Post Falls just got done doing some good fuels mitigation work after they had that kind of fire scare last year. So there's a lot of momentum around it right now. But again, and I know I tend to bring up I-90 East, but it's our near future project. That boundary will hopefully kind of follow suit with that, if not being larger, but right within that.
How are we coming on? I mean, the NEPA process, or has that been started with the I-90 corridor?
Yeah, so I was going to provide a little update around that too. Before I do that, is there any other questions on this? Is it?
No, I think we need to ask our grant lady if this is what they're already working on, or if this is something they haven't.
Talk to Bill about it.
Yeah, talk to Bill, talk about this and maybe the CWPP plan, because that would be an intricate piece to be able to do this. And then if opportunity presents itself, the group did come up with some just recommendations if you're interested in how to apply and use funds that might be considered. Let us know. We'd be happy to share that. So certainly don't want to force it on you
Can
either.
you email it?
Mhm.
Would you do that?
Yeah, if you're interested in it.
certainly.
Yeah, email me on that.
Okay. Yep.
And Dave, you want it emailed?
Yep, that would be
Okay,
useful.
yeah, we'll send it to both of you.
And Tracy, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Send it to all three of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. So a little update on I-90 East. We are still in what I'll call the first year of NIFMA, which is kind of that we're collecting data basically. So
Okay.
we have a good 2 seasons of data collection, just because that project area is so large, right? It's almost like 120,000 acres for the whole shebang, about 70,000 acres being Forest Service lands. So fair bit of data collection to do, and there's some socializing I know we've talked about around that project too, just because it is a little bit of a beast and we have a lot of interested parties given, it's in the interstate corridor, we've got some major utility corridors right up the gut of it, Lookout Mountain Ski Resort being right on the Montana border, so we have a little bit of work ahead of us. A lot of our work right now is kind of looking at some of that road access that we've talked about, or lack thereof roads. So that's where a lot of our homework is right now. Trying just to facilitate seeing how can we get into like that Big Creek country, which really doesn't have a lot of roads. How do we get in there to do some commercial harvest? Or will a little bit more of it be a fuels component? So we have a couple field trips. I think you missed maybe the last Shoshone-Benawah meeting,
Yep.
but we are going to do a field trip in September with the Shoshone-Benawah Collaborative. So hopefully you can make that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it will probably be more discussion than seeing, the whole project area. I'll probably take you into like one quadrant of it, but where you can get some good viewpoints and have some good discussion. So, so that's kind of where we sit now.
Is there anything the county can be doing to help you with that process?
I think as we get into doing more public messaging around it and start standing up some community town hall meetings, it'd be a good place to have representation
Okay.
from you folks and folks like Bill, Dan, to help us share that messaging. So, and then as we get into that proposed action, certainly taking a close look at it, we are including a fair bit of the BLM land too within our Forest Service analysis, because in order to be successful, and again, right, those things can't always stop at the boundary. So for us to say, for example, pull off a planned burn in one of those units, the BLM is going to need to be there with us too, just because of the landscape. So our analysis is going to include some of their stuff too, which is a good thing. So more to come. But I think knocking out some of these initial field trips just to kind of wrap everybody's mind around it would be a good thing.
I just got one question on the grants. Is there any infrastructure possibilities with those grants?
Unfortunately, no.
No bridges, no.
Not building, no. I mean, treating around to protect from impacts from wildfire, yes. Unfortunately, capital improvements are not allowed as part of it. Yeah. Fire suppression equipment and resources and capital improvements are the 2 things that are not allowed.
Okay. Yeah. Didn't hurt to ask.
No, it
Always
doesn't
ask.
hurt to ask, yeah.
Okay.
Since we're on the topic of wildfire, we were just kind of talking on our drive down too. It's looking like the forest, not yet, but here in the next couple of weeks, we'll enter into level 2 fire restrictions. We're getting close to meeting those criterias. So again, that level 2, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because this is his wheelhouse. But when we start entering into like Hudal, no campfires, and with our abundance of public that like to visit your county, there's some messaging that we will help get out in front of that so folks are prepared and so that you guys are prepared. So, and I'm sure Bill is in on that too, but probably looking like a couple weeks out.
Okay. I know you have to have signs and everything before that you enter the forest.
Yeah.
Are those going to be updated? And
Yep, most certainly. So our prevention staff, once we make that decision to go, We not only our fire prevention staff, but we get help from our recreation staff, from our fire suppression staff to go out and sign. We do post orders, we post signage about restrictions being in effect. We hit as much as we can. We are currently running radio PSAs as well as streaming PSAs just about fire safety, but if and when we get to that point, we'll transition that over into fire restrictions messaging. We've also partnered with Idaho Department of Transportation as well in the past to have the large interstate reader boards put out that message too. So those are all the things that we've done. And we'll obviously have a myriad of press releases to go out digitally through all the papers and all that. So
Yeah, that helps for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, because like you said, we get a lot of visitors.
Mhm.
Yes. So those were our few big updates for July. I was curious if there's anything else that you guys wanted updates on or to share with us, just while we have some time.
Regarding our law enforcement contract with the Forest Service, I'd like to get with you again sometime,
Okay.
one-on-one, just to discuss what we can do there. I've been told through the Sheriff's Department, they were told through the Forest Service Department that the $10,000 was all they could do.
Okay.
$10,000 just doesn't really go very far when you're patrolling that many miles. So, I mean, we're not even at a break even.
Right.
So I just wanted to
Okay.
pick your brain about who should we go to, what can we do
What does that process look like? Yeah.
because just, I mean, it's better than nothing was great when the Sheriff's Department's on good solid financial
Right.
ground, but we're getting squeaky tight right now.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely.
And we absolutely don't want to cut down on law enforcement if we can. I mean, we got enough issues without doing that. So,
Right. Yep, no, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, just let me know.
okay. Anything for you?
No. I'm just excited about this grant process. I believe the same thing Bill was kind of talking about.
I'm guessing
Because
so.
we're really needing the, I guess, I call them mowers, but they're not, they're.
Right,
Masticators.
masticators. Yeah.
yeah,
That
Sounds
sounds
We know,
like.
we know.
right.
That sounds like.
No.
What are they, just
Milk
a
counts.
big
Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
yeah.
they come in a couple different variations, but they can either be a large disc that spins,
Yeah.
or you can have a drum that
That
will also have teeth, and you can mount them on the front of a skid steer, or a number of different other heavy equipment, and you can just mow brush. It shreds it. In a sense, it doesn't necessarily eliminate the fuel, but it rearranges it for lower intensity fire to come through. Also, a bunch of forest health benefits as far as opening up canopy and allowing more sun and water to get into that forest floor. And so they're a great tool. And that would be a great thing to pursue through this too, and treat some extra acres.
And that's all private, that's for private.
You can also do county lands as well, and actually even state lands. So, for example, the Washington Department of Natural Resources and Washington State Parks were able to secure money to do treatments on their lands. Even Inland Power, which the electric company, I don't know if they come into Idaho at all, but they secured over $9 million to treat their right-of-ways and adjoining property if those private landowners are interested in it, to help protect, if in the event of something happening with the power lines. So there's a lot of ways to be creative with the opportunities, and it's a great opportunity that's we're getting towards the twilight on. So
good information, and we just appreciate the whole you guys coming to us and us going to you and being able to dialogue.
Yeah, us too. There's a lot going on, so it's
We got a lot going on.
Yeah.
nice touching base this way.
Yeah, it's a
So,
lot easier.
Yeah.
I'll probably be reaching out to you about that river advisory group again.
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
Try and give you about a month's notice and see if I
Okay.
can get you to come
Yeah.
to one of those meetings.
Yeah, I'd like to come and get either Josh or Judd to join me, so they can help with that recreation. I did talk to Josh a little bit about it, as far as like the feeing on Forest Service lands. But
Yeah,
beyond that, yeah, it'd be nice to hear what you guys are
what our
doing.
options are. So
Yeah.
I'll try to get, as soon as we get a date set for August, I'll
Okay.
try to reach out.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
It was fun.
We're
Yeah. Let's do it again sometime.